Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Street Entrepreneurship, and I am honored. Mr. Stu here is my inspiration. He was kind enough to let me attend the Code and Coffee Philly event a few weeks ago, which was an energetic event, and it was inspiring for everyone to attend. It's really hard to intro you because you're not just a founder, but a founder's founder who has serious CS data skills. With working and lived experiences with the biggest VCs and top 5 tech companies in the world. So, and there are a lot of articles and features on you, and it feels like everyone everywhere knows you. So how would I introduce you properly? And I guess the answer is you cannot, but I will say it this way: you are an institution onto your, and for anyone who does not know him yet, he will be a name known to the world soon. So welcome, Mr. Tony Su.
Wow, that is a very warm welcome and something I didn't even think of myself that grand. I think to answer your question, I'm just an AI engineer. I just like to code. I just like to maintain my wall of green and find people who are the same, and we just hammer it out. And things happen. Things happen when high agency people meet each other, and things happen when innovative people work together and really enjoy each other's company and bring value to each other through that network effect. So I guess essentially I'm just an engineer.
All right, that's great. Okay, so my first question for you is, so you grew up in Taiwan and have an incredible life story. So could you please tell in your own words, in a way that maybe the articles and features do not capture, just about who you are, where you came from, how you came to where you are now?
So I'm actually from Hong Kong. I grew up there, studied there in an international school. I represented Hong Kong baseball for a couple of years. There are certain aspects of my childhood where I was just going through almost military type training regimens, trying to play on top international performance for baseball. And there has been 7 to 8 years of my life where I couldn't even sit, stand, or do my 3 essentials and walk. And all that is to say that hence I went to Taiwan and studied 2-3 years and did little research there. I was a high school dropout. I was a high school dropout with back problems, with chronic pain problems, and just went to many different coffee shops and learned from many different craft engineers, one-man full-stack companies. I'm actually visiting one of my mentors from Taiwan as of this moment. He's back in Buffalo, and catching up with him. He went to my expo and is really proud and wants to export that to Buffalo, New York. Yeah, I'm jumping from coffee shop to coffee shop, learning from AI engineers who's randomly doing quantum AI research, SaaS one-man full-stack companies who run their own dev shop agencies, or even embedded systems and blockchain engineers that I could just meet in one of the best universities in Taiwan. That really promoted and really had prompted me to start something like that wherever I go. So the Code and Coffee in Philly, it's really just me being me and finding the best and living the best I can in a foreign land, where right after COVID, there was no ecosystem. Everything died off. There was no authenticity. Everyone's trying to sort of go to these networking events and drink. And there was no inspiration, or there's this feel of lethargy that I really, really hate. Because I've already been through so much in life at that point when I was going to university. And there's so much, the 7 to 8 years where I couldn't do basic things, and I just felt like it's such a shame. I'm in America. I just came from a political unrest in Hong Kong where they were stifling freedoms and trying to impose more socialistic laws and executive legislation. When I came to America, I was really trying to find my way, learned a lot in Taiwan, and made the best out of it. So essentially just me in a coffee shop just trying to find coders and code pair program with. So it's nothing too special. It's like every other story, immigrant story coming in. So yeah.
All right. That's a nice, I guess, a nice way to start it. And I guess that kind of introed into my next question where you were describing why you really wanted to start coding coffee. But I guess another component to that question is why did you decide to go to Philly? What was so special about Philly that you really wanted to start it there?
So people, I think, overthink and overexalt the why and the motivations and intentions. It's very simple. My previous university in Taiwan had paid for one exchange program to Temple in Philadelphia, and there was this accelerated master's program that I can do master's and undergrad at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very utilitarian and simple choice. I didn't have to give it too much think about it. I don't want to go back to Hong Kong. I wanted to continue striving and taking all the opportunities I can and making the most out of it. And it landed me in Philly. So that's really what just happened.
All right, that's great. And I guess maybe a motivation behind why would you want to stay in Philly? Why would you not want to try and move Coding Coffee into another place? Like what has Philly given to you, I guess, that has kept you there and kept Coding Coffee running in that area, maybe?
So I think one thing about my heritage from Hong Kong is that we're very down to earth, pragmatic, and in your face people.
Mm-hmm.
We we greet people with swear words like every other thing we do. And that type of underdog, that type of grit, and like that FU attitude is something that I have observed in Philadelphia, and it does make me feel at home to a certain extent. It has great food, rent is cheap, and it has many different strategic components about it. So to me, I mean, when I first came to Philadelphia, coming from Hong Kong, like anything slower than 2 minutes is too slow. I learned having traveled to New York, stayed in Texas for a while, stayed in SF and LA for a while. The relative comparison that I've felt in Philadelphia, where I can really be myself, as opposed to going to SF and LA, where being authentic and being direct may not be advantageous or even be disadvantageous. So for me, it was finding a place where I could really thrive, and Philadelphia gives me that culture of that authenticity, and that I have a network there. So I went back, and it has great food, great transportation. It has many universities. It's an underdog, to say the least, and I like that.
All right, that's great. And my next question is that, so you've been around obviously a lot of coffee shops. Coding Coffee obviously originated within a coffee shop. So what is your favorite type of coffee? I have to know.
I just get a cold heavy cream latte. That's like it has to be heavy cream. and yeah, it's I order the same thing wherever I go. It keeps things simple. I don't think about what I need to get. I don't need to like the many different layers of taste and flavors. I just get a cold heavy cream latte. It works to fill my stomach. It works to wake me up.
All right, that's perfect. And my next question is now more technical focused. So I guess so for coding, right? As like Gen Alpha teenagers and also my parents, we're not really sure at this point in our life if we really need to learn coding or not. And obviously you have a lot of experience with like generative and other coding I may not really like understand myself. So can you please tell us like a verdict of, coding or not? And seriously, what about coding, CS coding, AI skills should we learn in this ever-changing landscape that we're in now?
So AI is essentially amplifying tool that really just makes that widens the distribution. You're always going to need electricians, always going to need plumbers, always going to need some people working in nursing, always going to need people teaching and working in finance and whatnot. And also a saying goes like 80% of corporate America is just on an Excel spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
Fundamentally speaking, as a programmer, as an engineer, you're not a coder. You're a problem solver. You are a first principles system architect. You provide value in not your code, but knowing what key concepts and first principles that you can work off of to solve problems. Not only to solve problems, to find the correct problems to solve.
Yeah.
What AI does is it multiplies whatever tool set, skills, or like framework you have that you work off of. 0 times 10 is still 0. 1 times 10 is 10x. 2 times 10 is 20x.
Mm-hmm.
So those type of things is not only just an intuition or experience or skill, it's a form of problem solving and a framework of thinking that really boils down to, do you have a good intuition about things? And it's not something you can just like code and become a principal level or lead level engineer. Like, how do you get from that first degree of productivity into that second degree or n degree productivity is essentially the main value of an engineer. And yes, coding is still very important, especially like learning like assembly or C-level code to understand how computer systems work. It's very important to how to think in terms of like algorithms and data structures to organize your thinking. It's also very, very important if you want to fare well in industry is to understand the domain and knowledge work that only these domain expertise has, and think in terms of first principles of how you can dissect that workflow into individual boxes and then say come up with the right problem before you come up with a good solution. Anyone can come up with a solution. Ideas are a dime a dozen, but knowing what the right problem to solve is essentially what an engineer should work towards.
All right, that's great. And I guess my like an extension of that question a bit is like, what are your views on like vibe coding specifically? Like, what do you think about that in today's world?
Hence, you have a good foundation and good fundamentals. People talk about prompt engineering, then they talk about context engineering. Now they're talking about harness engineering, scaffolding. So, what are some critical points within the vibe coding workflow that you have to migrate databases, set up CI/CD, set up like end-to-end testing, E2A testing, integrated testing? What point in what capacity do you have to do manual QAing as an engineer that maybe you can use AI or computer use agents to automate? What value are you really, and what impact are you really bringing to the team or the projects or the initiative you're bringing? So like tools or vibe coding, don't think in terms of, oh, I'm using this crazy ass framework that indexes my code with a knowledge graph, and then I'm doing like, oh, many hooks integration that triggers many different skills or personas. Think in terms of what is the least amount of friction that you solve a problem that requires the least amount of implementation to reach that goal. And hence, the more you like flex that muscle of like, what is the easiest thing you can do for a problem, you realize you really reach the potential of what vibe coding or these AI agents can do and really provide value. And it turns out like, I mean, it's important to know like how the Claude Code agentic loop works underneath the TUI. But at the end of the day, you might just be using the Claude SDK, right? So being able to think in both like lower level terms, box it in, and then architect the path of least resistance towards a solution is the primary skill you do need as a vibe coder, if not an engineer. As opposed to, oh, do I use Claude Code? Do I use Codex? Do I use MCPs? Do I use CLI? Think in terms of impact, vision. Don't think in terms of features or like frameworks. Like features, you can just vibe code a new feature in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And I guess my next question is, so for you specifically, and I guess it's just in general, what is the journey from being like a coder or a tech person, or even just a young professional in any job market to actually becoming a founder? Like, can you tell us about like maybe it was a like a personal revelation for you, or maybe some people who were like lighting a path toward you becoming a founder or being a voice in the industry, plus a voice of a generation. So yeah, if you could just tell us like, did someone really tell you to become a founder, or did you find that pathway for yourself, realistically?
I think to put it short, I fell into the situation of being a founder. I never had the intention of creating this nonprofit. I never really had the intention to grow an ecosystem so large and so influential. All I wanted was some cracked people to code with me. And really being a leader or like being such an influential person is the last thing I want. I don't like being in public. I'm also very what's to say somewhat a contrarian. So being in public and being a founder actually counteracts my wants to code with cracked people and to be learning from other people and also be able to be a contrarian and think and analyze things. But because I'm such an engineer's engineer, people like that about me and like my authenticity. They either really like me or they really hate me. But for the most part, some people would hate you, but most people would like you. Is really the thing that goes. So I somehow ended up in that role, and I think as a good leader, you don't want to have an ego. You want to delegate to other people who have into their strengths and let them cook as much as you can, and maintain that alignment between others and in the team, such that they can have that exponential growth, and in turn the community has that exponential growth. And essentially that's how I do things. I don't want to be the center of attention. I want to enable other people to be the best that they can be. So that I can like really take the back seat and let other people cook, and it's easier on everyone else if I'm not micromanaging or doing anything in that sense.
All right.
So yeah.
Okay, that's a great response, I guess. And my next question for that is, well, after that is, so like everyone wants to know how to, fundraise really, or raise funds for their like their startups, nonprofits, and things like that. So could you please tell us what it was like for you? And is it like what is like slopped on LinkedIn, or is it like something else? Like, how would you go about that?
So just a clarification, the ecosystem and nonprofit I've built, we've been running on zero revenue for the longest of time.
Okay, really? Okay. Never mind that. I guess like if you were trying to raise funds, like what would be your take on that? Like how would you go about that maybe?
It's not about selling. It's not about having good products. It's about having a shared vision and a shared alignment between your investors, your audience, and your own internal team, such that the best kind of product market fit anyone or any organization can have is when your own audience or clients, users, start building it for you.
Okay.
So, and that's the kind of network effect that I think a lot of startups don't understand, is building a product is good and having something backing your vision is good, but you need to have a shared vision with your venture, your VCs that invest in you, and with your users and your internal team, such that other people can cook. If the ventures coming in, they see this product, but they don't see how they can give value to you, nor can they see how you can give them value, then they would be just like, oh, you don't need me. But if you find a way, or not find a way, if you keep your authenticity in such a way that you tell them very clearly how they can help you, and in turn what you can do with the value they give you, and doing the same with their users, it makes total sense why they would invest in you. Because I think most investors are not always just thinking in terms of money. I mean, think about it. If they're investing in a company, they can only see the value in 5 years, 5-10 years.
Yeah.
Are they really investing in the return and profit, or are they really investing in, say, enabling a product or a technology or a vision, and seeing how it can help them have that second degree to third or nth degree growth and network effect? I think it's the latter. So
yeah,
that is what I would say, is to really understand, like, money comes and goes, people come and go, but if you have a very integrated value system that people share, it's very easy to then start raising funds, if not, because the people are the funds, the capital.
Yeah.
The capital is the people. The people, if people follow you and people like what you're doing, there's many different avenues that people can open doors for you, and therein that network effect raise funds.
All right. That's a great response. So my next question is now like toward more like, I guess, school-based, like high schooler based, or just in general college. So like, I mean, more for high school actually, because like, at least in my school and like a lot of schools I know, like entrepreneurship is not really taught, or if it is taught, like it's done really like performatively, I guess. So what would you do today? Like if you were put in charge of schools, like what would you implement or what would you change about the curriculum in a way to, I guess, benefit future entrepreneurs or spark that entrepreneurship idea, like aspect in someone at a younger age?
I think very important is to instill very good value systems in people, and also not just value systems, but frameworks of thinking that they can like learn how to learn.
Yeah.
And also in doing so, give them opportunities to execute on those values and frameworks of thinking. A lot of the times in schools, they just provide you like memorize this, memorize that, and drill. And then you find out like maybe 10 years later, you just AI the thing. Like in for example, in primary, like I spent a lot of time just like learning how to write in cursive and drilling down, and like it turns out like 10 years later I just type everything. So it's like if you give like teach people how to fish and not give them the fish is what I would really recommend. Really maintain a curriculum where they maximize the learning of frameworks and value systems, because value systems give you the strategic principles that you would operate on, and frameworks of thinking give you the processes in which process and execute on those value systems. And a lot of the things in schools is like they're really producing people with no values and producing people with no frameworks of thinking to process change, process crises, process strategy, and process success. Because, you can process success wrong and not succeed anymore. You can process failures and go into a negative feedback loop. They don't really teach you how to do that. So I think back in the ancient times, when they give you all these parables and stories, you can learn from these maxims and wisdoms. There's a reason why they do that, and nowadays they don't do that anymore. So it's a shame.
Yeah. All right. And I guess bridging off of that, also in schools, so what's your take on like AI implementation in schools? Like I know my school, at least some like students are allowed to use, in some classes, like my CS class, we're allowed to use AI, like our teachers very pro it. But in your opinion, is it good or bad? Or how would you properly mandate it in a school to make sure, people are not just cheating or not getting, actual valuable learning skills off of it? So how would you, take AI in schools? Like, what's your take on that?
I think like the concept of cheating in school and like cheating with AI only comes hence you're reaching a task or a threshold or like completing meeting scores.
Hmm.
And oftentimes, like in the real world, there is no set threshold or scoring or like even what it doesn't mean to succeed.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important, of course, like to still have some sort of structure of what success is, but to first maybe use AI to help you figure out what success is per a subject, and then really iterate towards that success. So, for example, I know someone from a top university in Taiwan. They know nothing about machine learning. They were in a physics. They were a physics major and economics major. They literally prompted and self-learned through ChatGPT how physics neural networks work and come up with their own novel optimization algorithm with physics neural networks and published in one of those top conferences, just like ChatGPT and stuff. So
Wow.
that's essentially what you want to use AI for. Not like
Yeah.
because most education you're still like, oh, how do you what's the answer? Have you reached this math equation answer? Is it correct? No, you want to like actually use AI to find what the limitations currently are with mathematics, find out what still needs to be solved, and then maybe set a curriculum where you solve some of those hard ass problems.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what the real world is facing, is like that second order, third order accomplishment and productivity. Not like, oh, have you finished this task for a problem that someone else decided for you? So yeah.
All right, that's great. And I guess if you were in 11th grade today, what would your focus be on, seeing the world change before our eyes? Like, what would you focus on if you were in 11th grade right now?
This is assuming that your parents and your environment has instilled upon you great principles and values and great frameworks of processing. This before in the time before you're 25, you still your brain is still very malleable and very innovative and quick.
Yeah.
Is to really learn the hard skills of physics and mathematics and why certain physics and mathematics are incepted in a certain way, and also very importantly to learn critical thinking through the humanities and writing essays. I mean, they teach you all of this in high school, but they never teach you why.
Yeah.
And I think the core idea is that, oh, you're still malleable, you can ingest all of these information, but don't just learn the information, learn the first principles behind those information and why certain things are, so that you can then use the skills that you learn and propagate into new frontiers and domains of physics or mathematics, and even like solving various technology problems, solving different real world problems. So that's what I would suggest, is because you're so quick and malleable as at this moment, really just absorb as much as you can from the best tutelage and subjects that you can get exposure to, and really take advantage of that. Because like after 26 or 25, or like after when you're like 30 and 40, you develop experience in that framework, but you're no longer like absorbing things as sponge.
Yeah.
But really take advantage of that and really apply yourself and what you can learn. So I think that's one of the advantages of being young and being in 11th grade is it's a different type of problem, but it's also a great advantage as well.
All right, that's great. And my final two questions. So first, when are you going to visit SF? What's your next step?
I have 1 week until my new job. I have to start my new job. I'm contemplating whether I should visit SF in the coming week, because I had a friend that just texted me, oh, I built this Higher Thomas, like Thomas is his name. It's like he built Higher Thomas and it got into YC. And then like, oh, I want to chat with him and like pick his brains and like get inspired. But oh, maybe just let me know what kind of cool conferences there are. And just pop my head over.
Yeah, I'll definitely let you know. I'll definitely message you about that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so is that everything that in that question?
When will I get to SF?
Yeah.
Uh, for I guess for me, it's not an ultimate goal to get to SF.
Yeah.
It's more so where are the cracked people?
Hmm.
And hence, when we first met, you were complaining that there wasn't that builders ecosystem in SF. So like, maybe I need to make some first order, second order degree networking and find those crack people in SF. But until then, I need to find the incentive to do so. Maybe some cool hackathons, maybe some cool conferences.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll help you build that ecosystem so that there's incentive for me to go to SF.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people in SF, they're like pre-seed, seed stage in the city itself, and a lot of like how to build this demo for this VC and get money and raise money, and then after which I'll exit very soon. I really don't like that.
Hmm.
I like to build on that second order, third order degree growth.
Yeah.
So yeah, in whatever way, or maybe just to help you out, I'll come to SF.
All right. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And my last question for you would be, I guess, similar to that in a way, is if anyone was to launch like their own coding coffee chapter or organization in their high schools, like I'm trying to do as well, what can they do and whom do they reach out to? Like, what guiding steps could you give? Because I believe that, you have a movement with a lot of at least Gen Z, Gen Alpha influence, like force that is like also like really hungry to like, be like a leader like you. So what advice could you give for how they can start their own coding coffee chapter?
There's two things like that comes to mind is find that core group of cracked people or like high agency that you really have that shared value of building and really want to do something with their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is if you really want to be a leader, learn how to serve and help people.
Yeah.
Learn where their pain points are and really learn how to enable the best out of everyone. So hence you have that core group of people that would follow you everywhere, if not just help you out and you help them out as well. Then you can learn to bring the best out of them and then bring the best out of you, such that there is that network effect, and then there's that nth degree growth. Hence you gather the mass of people, an audience, doors open. And also don't be afraid to ask questions and seek help. I think in the US there is a hesitancy to seek help and sort of find value. There's always people more really wanting to help different people out, not out of like philanthropy, but more so out of providing value. Say they provide value, and if not just out of goodwill, they can. Providing value is the main mechanism for making money, honestly. So there's always ways where you can get people to provide value to you, and you then develop the skill to provide value back. And that network effects really compounds. So and to be in that leadership role, to really start that ecosystem or that flywheel in a grassroots level, is to really learn how to serve people and bring the best out of everyone. Hence, rising tides lift all boats. It's what my co-founder Nolan would talk a lot about, and he's right. You really need to. It's very important to learn how to enable and give value to people, not from just you giving value. Enable other people to give value and give value back to you. Then hence you have that flywheel of growth. That's really what you're looking for building ecosystems.
All right. Thank you. And thank you is not enough for this interview, but thank you for the opportunity to ask questions and learn. It's really give amazing insight. And, I'll definitely keep in touch with you about reaching out, maybe to coming to SF, helping me out with what I'm trying to build as well. So
Of course, always happy to help, especially helping some young aspirational talent like you and really wanting to start early, because you doing so like that's coming from SF, coming all to Philly, and then really starting to start that flywheel from a grassroots level from SF. It really inspires me. So I want to. This is how you make connections and relationships for investors, like giving them that authenticity and that vision of how they can help you, and what your vision is, and why it's helping other people. So yeah, that's what I would say. So let me know when I can help you out as well.
Yeah, and I'll see if any conferences, or I know a lot of stuff is coming up, so I'll definitely keep in touch and send you some of those.
Awesome.